What's up, everybody? This is Connor and Joshua with Chamber One Tactical. Today we're talking about one of the coolest products that we've got here in the past few months, and that is the Olight Osight.
Yep.
Very innovative optic, and we're very excited to bring some information to you guys, so let's get into it. So as you guys can see, we like Olight a little bit. We may have a problem with purchasing Olight. Joshua over me. He owns the majority of these, but we obviously have supported Olight for a while now. We've had a lot of the different weapon lights that they have.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple different EDC lights, and then we have some that are just a little ridiculous because this one's very, very bright and a little stubby thing. So, but you know, we were very excited when we saw that Olight was coming out with a sight.
Yeah.
Because this is not really the world that they live in. You know, they're a flashlight company, and what's crazy, they've been expanding here recently. You've seen that they came out with they've got some knives folding knives, multi-tool. They've done a lot, and they've been doing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we have always found that their lights have been pretty high quality lights for a pretty decent amount. They're pretty. I would say they're one of the best budget friendly lights on the market.
Yeah.
We've never had any explode. We had somebody say something about something exploding, but we've never had any explode. I have melted somebody's shirt on accident by holding the light up to it, so they do get a little hot. But we've always liked Olight, and like I said, when we saw they were coming out with a sight, we were very, very excited to see it. So just real quick, we're going to run through some of the testing that we've done with it, and some of the testing we haven't and probably won't do. And we're just being 100% honest with you guys. This was not sent to us. We purchased this with our money. When I say we, Joshua, he purchased this with his own money. So we did not run this thing through any kind of true torture test. We didn't dunk it in water. We didn't throw it from a deer stand.
We didn't optic whip it.
Yeah, we didn't do anything crazy because we really just wanted to see how it functioned on a gun, because we have had some optics that didn't even make it through firing just on a gun. So, and it's hard to tear something up when you just purchased it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna run it through its paces and see how it compares to some of the other ones. We don't typically do a lot of torture tests on our optics.
Especially not something we spend our own money on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so new. We're gonna try and use it and see how well it does for the time being, because there's other things we'd like to test, like its battery life, which is one of the coolest things. So if you guys watched our short, you'll already know this is a 3MOA red dot that has a 70,000 hour runtime on the lowest setting. So the cool part about it is it comes with a rechargeable case that has its own battery pack in it.
Connor.
So it sits on top of the optic just like that, and you guys will see it has a green ring at the top. So the cool part of this is it is a double function. So when you stick it on top of the optic, it tells you the percentage battery life of the optic. When you just press the button on the side while it's off, it tells you the battery life of the case itself. So from what we've read, this case will charge this battery up 3 times on one charge, which is crazy. I mean, all of this is very cool to me.
Yeah.
Batteries are the downfall of optics, especially if you're a Trigicon person and you have one that you got to take the goofy thing off to put the battery on.
Yeah.
That's a pain in the butt. So pretty cool that you can have one that just charges. So first thing we'll go through, obviously, is the fit and finish of the optic and the glass quality, stuff like that. So,
or let's talk about price first.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one, I saw the prices have actually gone up since I ordered it. I did a pre-order, so I think it was before it would actually ship out. It was going to ship out on like a Monday, but I could pre-order it, and I pre-ordered it for $158. That's a pretty good deal for a red dot optic of this size. Now that I've seen them out there for a little bit, I've seen them for $199, and I haven't really seen them for less than that. So I'm very curious to see what after the hype and all that, what are these going to be consistently going for? Because if it's going to be going for that 158, that's a pretty good value, which we're going to talk about, in all this. Once you start going up to 200 or plus, you're going to start getting more competition with some other more known name brand.
Well, and if you guys are familiar with Olight, you know that their sales are unlike anybody else's. So when they put something on sale, they put it on sale.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this works. Like a lot of these other products, when they're discounting them and trying to get some stuff pushed out.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's going to be interesting to see what the kind of baseline price is going to be on these optics.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, what I first noticed when I looked into it, it's actually a pretty tall optic. The glass is very tall. It's not super wide. It's about the same as any other, I think, Armor platform.
Yeah.
But it's a very tall, seems to be a pretty tall front glass. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know why they made it that tall.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any.
Let me grab a Holosun to compare
if
the
you
height.
want to.
So it looks like we got one right here, off the echelon. So like this Holosun right here. Well, we should put the smaller one up front. You can see this Olight's a good bit taller.
Yeah. One in the top part of the sight is a good bit thinner than that Olight. That Holosun. So you have a lot more glass to look through.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I like that. I like it a lot. I typically like to see optics wider, because it just gives you a little bit more field of view when you're looking through the optic. But this proved to be a pretty helpful. Just that little extra space up top was pretty nice to get on your target. So
yeah, I can since we're talking about the size of it, I can honestly say that this one's going to be harder to fit into like a concealed carry format. Although maybe not as much because of where it lays while you're carrying it. Maybe it's not a big deal, but me personally, if I'm going with this one, and it's probably going to be more for like a duty,
just range
or something that I don't care about the size as much, just because if I'm really trying to be compact, it might be a different brand.
Yeah, and while sighting it in, the adjustment turrets or whatever you want to call them seem to be pretty high quality. They had decent clicks in them, audible, and you could feel the clicks. So some optics that we've dealt with, you just twist, and sometimes it's kind of
don't even know if it clicks or not.
Yeah. So they did a pretty good job, but this does have 3 different modes. I think we have it in, what mode do we have it in right now? Just the auto or?
Oh, yeah, it's on shake weight.
Shake weight, okay.
Which all red dots that I buy are shake weight.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty important feature, mainly for battery life, and it's not something you really see failing on any red dot, so they typically do a pretty good job. As soon as you pick it up, that red dot is there.
I do want to make mention of something because you guys are probably going to see it in the video. This is off topic of the optic. The gun itself, you may have seen where we had some malfunctions.
Yeah.
And that was not the fault of the gun necessarily. Joshua had purchased a aftermarket slide to be able to put an optic on there, because this was just a standard 5th gen Glock 45.
Yeah.
And he did end up getting a aftermarket striker, and that striker was malfunctioning. So when you would actually pull the trigger, and it was as it was trying to load another round into the gun, the striker was actually sticking out and locking up with the backside of the round. So I found you just give it a good smack and it would go into chamber.
Yeah.
But I was worried about shearing off that striker. So it's not anything that the way the optic sat, because sometimes if you have too long of screws, it can mess with stuff. It wasn't anything that was wrong that the optic was doing to the gun. We just had a faulty striker. So
yeah.
But we're just putting that out there just so you guys knew. That's another part of testing stuff is some things just don't work.
Yep.
So
one thing I did notice, and like Connor said, we haven't tested this optic as far as durability, but one thing I noticed is the charger is right on top, and it looks a little exposed. It looks like it could be a failure point, and so I'm a little surprised that they didn't put any sort of like the Trijicon wings, so that if it were to drop straight on, it's not going to actually hit the part that it charges, as far as like being on level surfaces. Obviously, if you're dropping it in gravel or whatever, rocks are going to poke through and maybe get to the middle.
Yeah, and we know Trijicon owns the wing patent, so it's not like they can just go do the same thing.
Right.
But
they could have figured something out to cover it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But for all we know, it could be perfectly fine. It might not be a failure point on it at all. I just know that it's very exposed and it could be a failure point.
Especially some of the stuff you see out there where people are trying to use them as hammers.
Or optic with a plate.
That's exactly where you would be hitting it.
Yeah.
So, like Joshua said, even if it's not a failure point for the glass, it may be a failure point for where your charger actually goes on. So, like he said, that'll be kind of interesting to see as we go through it. And maybe if Olight wants to send us one to torture test, then maybe we'll torture test. But for right now, we're just going to use it as a normal optic. But the only thing that I will say as I was shooting, and Joshua, I'm glad he said something because I noticed it as well, is this has a good bit more of that star effect on the dot itself than you would see through Trijicon or Holosun.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I couldn't tell if it was the sun glare, because sometimes even on higher end optics you'll see some glare if the sun's either directly on it or directly behind you. But there was like a secondary little faint dot on the right side of the actual
two
dot.
dots.
Yeah. So I don't know where that was coming from. We made sure that the actual part where the laser's coming through was clean, just in case there was something there. And it was pretty consistent that there was this little faint dot to the right of your actual dot.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I don't know if ours is faulty or if that's... I think Joshua said he looked it up and some people are actually having that same comment. So that is something to say. I don't know where that's coming from, but I could do without the little secondary dot.
It's very obvious that the glass and the quality of the red dot that you are viewing is not like other brands, like Holosun, Trijicon. And typically it's not something that I personally would be able to pick up on. But when I noticed this, I started watching other people's videos that have already gotten these in, and they were kind of saying the same thing. So it's kind of funny that, people are pretty consistently saying, like, the red dot has got a little bit more star effect. It's not as clear. Yeah. Now, with that being said, you notice it when you're focusing on the dot. But when you're actually shooting it, you're not focusing on the dot itself. You're focusing on the target, and you're just putting a little red dot where you want it to go.
That dot just happens to be there where your target is.
While you're shooting, it's not a big deal. It's just if you're being, like right now, if I were to look at it and just kind of focus on the dot, that's when you're going to kind of notice that star effect.
Right.
Another feature that's pretty cool on this, that sets it apart, is it's actually got a battery indicator on the actual optic. It's got like little lights, and you can look in your little manual, and it'll tell you around where this is on the actual optic itself, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's in between your up and your plus and minus buttons.
Yeah.
When you press your minus or plus button, it will show a little dot. I think it's green, orange, and red.
Because no other optic, you wouldn't know. Does it have new battery? Is it about to go out? So that's pretty neat.
Well, and in my opinion, for one, I will say this was a very easy optic to keep up with. This gun is very easy to shoot very fast because Joshua has this gigantic comp on here. So this gun is very flat shooting and it's very easy to shoot. And we felt that putting it on a Glock would be the most standard way of testing this optic because the Glock is very standard. I feel the Glock is a very average gun. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's for actual shooting. It's okay. It is what it is. So we tried to kind of keep everything canceled out and just neutral. So we put it on a very neutral style gun, the Glock. And I will say when drawing this weapon and trying to get that dot on target, it was very easy and quick to see that dot. And like you said, in actual shooting, you don't notice that star effect near as much as when you're actually trying to find things wrong with the product. Because, when you're testing something, you're looking for something to go wrong. Right. That's just what we do. We're trying to find, is there any weak points on this product? So I thought that in actual use, it was a very quality feeling, very quality looking optic when you're actually using it. Yeah. And having the ability to recharge it is one of the coolest things that I've seen coming out really at all. Yeah. That's one of the things that most people gripe about is having to change batteries. And like you said, a very good point, not knowing, I know everybody says, well, every birthday, put your battery in there. It'd be nice not to have to worry about it. It'd be nice just to, if you're in your truck and you got your little block in your center console or wherever you have your gun. Right. You stick it on top of there and let it charge. And when you go to use it, put it in your holster and you're good to go.
And this is one thing. So this is an everyday carry. you can see it's kind of beat up for me. This is an Olight. I carry every single day. Okay? This pen right here, I carry Monday through Friday while I'm at work. I got it in here. It's a little flashlight, got a laser, and guess what? It's a pen too. But the neat thing about it is every day before I go to bed, I stick these things on charge, and every day when I wake up and I go to work, I know that they're fully charged, they're good to go, I'm not going to run out of battery. Whereas I've had some everyday carry flashlights in the past that are battery, or sometimes even the USB-C. Sometimes you're kind of lazy about it. I don't need to charge it now. They got it so easy. You just kind of put this thing near it. The magnet comes and sticks onto it. So that's kind of what Olight is good for. Is like it's something that's everyday carry. It's just super easy to sit there and slap that joker on there, and it's going to charge overnight. If you put this on your everyday carry, you're going to pull out that gun and know that it's charged. You're ready to go.
If you're a routine style person.
I'm a very routine
and
person.
he is, and,
yeah.
and we kind of both are. So if you're somebody that doesn't think about things and you don't want to think about things, and you just when the battery dies, you just want to go replace the battery and you don't want to have to worry about charging stuff, then this may not be for you.
Yeah.
But I think for the way that we operate, where especially at people in America today, everything is rechargeable. Your watch, your phone, your iPad, your computer, everything has a cord connected to it for the most part. That when you go to bed, you plug in your phone, you put your Apple Watch on charge, or your whatever watch. We're used to charging things. So I don't think this is going to be very hard for people to get used to, especially when they have, like you said, on the gun you already have, if you have an Olight weapon light on there already, you're probably putting that thing on charge also. When you go at the end of the day and you take your gun off, you put it on your nightstand and you let it charge for the night. So I think this is a pretty good product that a lot of people are going to be able to pick up pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it's not that you got to charge it every night. This thing, 70,000 hour runtime. I mean, we're talking about longer than most optics will run at this point. I think Holosun's what, 50,000?
Yeah, with a solar panel.
And then Trigicon's are what,
40,000.
Okay, something like that. So it's already higher than all the other ones, but you also have the capability of just throwing that charger on there if you just want to make sure.
Right. And, another thing to be noted is it's actually got a pretty low profile as far as right here down at the base.
Yeah.
These aren't original Glock sights. I put some tritium night sights on this Glock. But you can actually co-witness with these sights, and they're not like raised up sights. They're about the same height as a standard Glock sight. They're just tritium, so there's no difference there. Yeah. And you can pretty much co-witness with them. It's probably about a 3/4 view. You lose a little bit of your bottom 25%, but the important part of the sight you can actually see. So they did a good job keeping it low profile.
Yeah.
And last thing I noticed is as I was watching other people's videos, they had the complaint of this charging system and stated that this seems like something that they could lose pretty easily. I like Connor was saying earlier, I'm a very routine person. I keep up with my stuff. I do the same thing pretty much every single day. And if I had this on a carry gun, I would have it charging every single day before I would go out. I don't see that being an issue for me personally. It might be for you guys, so it's something that I was going to note. If you're not good with keeping up with little things, this might be an issue, and then you might have to order a new one of these. I don't know what these are going to cost, but it's not an issue for me.
So that was actually going to be something I was going to say. If you were that type of person, I would just, if Olight offers it in the future, I don't know if they already do or don't, depending on how much these are, you may just buy you another one of these and have one in your truck and one on your nightstand, just if you wanted to have it. But again, I want to go back to, and we're not trying to push this product on anybody. I just think
we don't get commission.
Yeah, we're going to still be continuing to test it. So, but I just think even without the chargeability, you still have 70,000 hour runtime. Yeah. So it's going to be, as long as their batteries
on the lowest setting.
On the lowest setting, yeah. So, which I think all of them are rated for their lowest setting.
Right,
so, but at this point, in my opinion, I would not have any problems recommending this optic as far as range use. I can't give you a yes on duty use yet.
Right.
We haven't tested it as far as durability, haven't put it in water. We haven't done stuff like that. So as far as just going out there and getting it and putting it on a range gun that you enjoy shooting and you just want to go and I think it'd be great for like competition too. It's a very tall sight, so you get a lot of view. So I would recommend it at this point for those applications, but for carry or for duty, I don't really know if I would 100% recommend it yet because we haven't had that much time to test it.
Yep.
That's just I wouldn't want to recommend it to somebody and then it fail and we steered you the wrong way.
And I agree with that. And just following up with that statement, I'll recommend it for something that you're not protecting your life with. So not a duty use, maybe not a bedside gun yet, but we could do an update video on after we have done testing, after because this thing it did prove to hold zero.
Yeah.
Very accurate, no issues there, but also watching what happens to other people. So we might have a good product, but there might be a bunch of lemons out there.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to recommend something that has been known to have a bunch of lemons out there, but we have a good one, so we're going to recommend it.
Right.
That's not really what we want to do. We wanted to get this video out to you guys so you guys could see our experience so far.
Yep.
But before we recommend it for like concealed carry, things that
True
are actually
use.
true use,
Yeah.
it's actually going to protect your life. We're going to continue to test it ourselves, do some research, see what other people have, see if there's issues with them, if they're blowing up, exploding, whatever it might be. See kind of the prices, how they're going to level out, what are they really going to be, because honestly, if they stayed around $158, yeah, this might be something I'm slapping on most of my guns.
Right.
But if it's closer to that $200 where I could just go ahead and get a Holosun that is a little bit more proven,
Yep.
I might go with a Holosun. So this is where we are right now.
Yeah. And we're going to continue to keep you guys updated with the things that we find on it, whether it's through shorts or full videos. So make sure you're staying in tune to all the videos we're putting out, shorts and full reviews. Because sometimes we may not make a full video, we may just try and keep it, short and sweet and to the point.
Right.
But if you guys have any questions about any of the things you see up here, or this optic, or anything that we may not explain to fully, just let us know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share, and we'll catch you next time.